welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson, and I am here with the president, CEO, all of these wonderful things of Truliant Federal Credit Union. This is Mr. Todd Hall, and Todd is a great guy. We met in early 2020. When was the event at the branch in Clemens?
Yeah, right before COVID, I think. So yeah,
right?
Late 19, something like that.
Met then. Actually, Stabler was with me because I'm like, hey, you want to come meet a congressman? Come on. And so we met there, but you know, it's interesting. On Camel City Chat, I had David Barksdale over at Piedmont Federal, had him on. And then I also have you on, and the reason why is because I bank with both of you guys. I banked with you guys a little bit longer with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here for a couple reasons, and I don't know if you know why I'm actually with Truliant.
I don't.
All right,
share
so
with us.
Kim Alderman.
A good one.
Rachel
I can
McGinnis.
understand right there. Two
Rachel
of the
McGinnis.
best. Right
yeah,
there,
and then now, you know, I've met so many other people like Heath and Beth, and you don't know I know this one. Aaron Wood used to work with me at Coldwell Banker. And
Really?
So I've been telling people to give Aaron grief. I've got a couple clients. I've got a couple clients that work with you too, and you know, this is true. I don't know if Stabler, we see that in the background, but we'll have to show up. But it says Truliant strives to provide all employees with an enjoyable place to work where they feel valued, empowered, and rewarded for all they do. So before we get into questions, one more thing is I saw a Chase Bryce incident with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, Chase wins this game.
Absolutely.
He goes to the sidelines and starts helping the students out of the stands so no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
So you're sitting over there, you're on a call or something, and a couple of your coworkers come and they go, excuse me, sir, Mr. Hall, and they had to get something off the top shelf. So you just walk over, you're like doing something, and you're like, thanks and everything. And then when we get our drinks, Stabler, you haven't seen this yet, and I want you to take a picture of this for one of the breaks. You guys actually have a store back here.
Yeah.
And this
cafe.
The store has, like, you know, and it's subsidized drinks and stuff, things like that, so that, you know, they don't have to leave. So you're saving them your money, gas, et cetera, time, all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And then I need to tell everyone where we are, and then we're going to start the show. Can you tell I'm excited? We are in the old Office Depot at Pavilions. So you have the mothership across the street, which is got that beautiful area that the realtors use sometimes, and you use
the
it.
pavilion and everything, and the waterfall. Yeah.
Then you got this, and then we just missed the Ops Center, which you're going to tell us about that.
Yeah, you come back and we'll do it another time, another segment. Right?
So everybody, Todd Hall, and here we go. Where are you from, and how long have you been in Winston?
So I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
Born and raised. Ended up going to the university after 1 year at Furman.
Right.
But lived in Columbia through college, and then my career began to move me around the Carolinas. And been in Winston for the past 10 years when I joined Truliant back in late 2012. So my wife Shannon and I have really enjoyed Winston. It's really a great place to live. So.
All right. So we want to touch on a couple things.
Please.
Thank goodness you left Furple. You come from a time period, because I think we're similar. If it ain't swaying, we ain't playing.
Yeah, well.
Saw George Rogers.
George, I did too.
Yeah,
I was there when
Rogers.
George was winning the Heisman.
When Wake Forest played them, we had seats in the Gamecock section because the guy that owned the restaurant across the street was a friend of my dad's. And my dad's like, we can't stay here. We can't even cheer. We're sitting on our hands. So we got, oh my gosh, that thing moved. That was crazy.
Yeah,
what a great
had some
school.
good years back then, didn't we? Yeah, South Carolina was a really good place to go to school and grow up. And you know, we had a rough weekend with Georgia, put it on us. Not like yourself and the Mountaineers. That was exciting.
So I have past guest Avery Hall's son's on the team, and we were texting. You know, he does the ESPN Plus call when they're with David Jackson. And I like text. I said, "Hey, you got any words besides wow?" And he goes, "I said a lot of things besides wow." But they actually really run that play every week.
Yeah, well, I watched.
So they never,
Coach talk
about
it afterwards. Every Thursday, they say they run at the end of practice. You know,
never do it.
And that was just exciting.
So you're a sports fan, and we're going to get into that. Let's ask the second question. And as I assume it's going to be a Truliant customer. So, but I mean, what are some places that you and Shannon, right?
Yeah,
you and Shannon like to go eat, and you have two kids.
I have two kids. Yeah, I got a 26-year-old and a 23-year-old. Two boys.
Two boys, right. So where do you guys like to go eat?
So, yeah, probably my favorite place here is either Roosters or Mazelle's. So that's
two good
kind
places.
of my two places to go. And then Fratelli's, we live out in Pofftown.
Right.
So Fratelli's being out that way, you know, if we're going to go grab a bite for dinner, that's probably where we go.
So we'll do Fratelli's Light, which is, of course, 3 Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah. All great restaurants. And my wife and I just recently went to one, 600 Degrees. I encourage people to go there. We're going to have, I think, him on the show, and then there's so many good restaurants.
We had a little group of employees go to 600 Degrees the other day, for kind of a little get-together after work and stuff. And so that's a super place. Innovation Quarter and all that's just really blowing up.
And I said this, so we've done like 4 or 5 episodes in a row, and you may not air until like middle to the end of October. And we were with Michelle McCullough yesterday with from the city with the historical, and we were talking about with her. I'll mention again. So this is like 3 episodes in a row. Brent Campbell was our bureau chief, and when we interviewed him, he's like, I stood in front of that place and tried to hold a straight face when I said that they were going to develop it to be what it is now. He says, now I go out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, can you imagine that vision? Just like, there's no way this was an Office Depot.
Yeah. It is amazing what it turned out to be. We were so proud of this space. Our folks.
It is beautiful.
Chad Fry is our head of real estate and construction, all those things, and I got to give him the credit of kind of leading that effort. But it's exemplary of what you'll see in the Op Center when you get to come back and visit us there. We took some of the themes we liked out of this and added some new themes to it, with regards to that. But had a lot more to work with. Here it's 27,000 square feet. Over there it's 151,000 square feet. So a lot of fun.
It's interesting because I told Heath, I said, oh my gosh, I've got the perfect lead in. And I was going to go, this episode of Camel City Chat's the most electrifying one you ever see, and then back up to have all the solar panels. So you're doing solar, and we're going to get all that. Last question of these 3, and then I want to talk about you and your family, and then banking. And that is, what do you like to do around Winston?
So I'm kind of a homebody. So, we work quite a bit. The organization is a hard-charging organization with a lot going on, so we're traveling a lot related to work. And so when I'm at home in Winston, I'm pretty well just kind of hanging out with my wife. Shannon's my best friend, and so we spend a lot of that time there. So, but we like to get out and about. Downtown's really great. I think we've done, Jason Thiel and downtown Winston-Salem have done really good stuff with all that. So I think it's a really great city to be out and about, walking in and exploring things.
From your South Carolina side of things, Greenville was one of the cities that Winston wanted to emulate, along with Chattanooga and things when they started to go around.
Yeah.
It's interesting now to see some of the other cities come and see how we did Salem Parkway or different things like that.
Greenville, I lived in Greenville back in the early 90s, before any of that, and so,
when the swamp was actually the swamp.
So it has really transformed. It's exciting. Of course, as you well know, we're expanding in upstate South Carolina, so we're down there quite often, and we'll open a new hub in downtown Greenville next month. Right. That as a part of our regional locations down there. But Winston's done a phenomenal job and continues to do so. I think Mark Owens and GWSI sit on that board, but they've really, empowering folks with regards to attracting, more quality jobs, more people here. The life-work balance is just super in the triad. So great place to be.
You've got me down. Okay, so I have ADD, if you can't tell. So you've got me down like 3 rabbit holes, but I am going to touch on something because we just found out yesterday. You just said Greenville Hub and things like that. So we, another blow to the triad with losing ACC yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it.
When BB&T decided to make their change, you were very quick to come out and say, hey, we're going to pick up the slack. We're the brand. We're the, well, I can't say the B word, so we're the credit union. But what does that mean to Truliant, to you, to your team? When I hear, they're moving, they're going to have a hub in Greenville, or is there a concern? Obviously, there's not.
Yeah,
I know how you are, but what's your thoughts on investing in the community? Because you got a brand new building downtown with your name on it coming soon.
Coming, yeah. So, our plans for what we were going to do with regards to our contributions to the Triad and Winston-Salem specifically and all that didn't change because, BB&T merged with SunTrust and Kelly moved the headquarters to Charlotte. You understand that they probably needed to do that. Our plans didn't change with that. It's not like we said, we got to step up and fill the void that kind of got created from that. We were already intending to do that. But it did, when that happened, Truliant became the largest headquartered financial institution in the Triad with that, and so with that comes some responsibility in our opinion. But to your point, we are going to rename the Winston Tower with the Truliant signage probably early next year. We had hoped to do it a little sooner, and typical the supply train, all that good stuff.
Somebody's got to get up on top of the building.
Figure out
and you're not doing that one, okay?
I'm not. I
you can
won't
reach up there, but no,
we're excited, to play a little more prominent role in Winston-Salem and in the Triad because of that, from a naming recognition or other things like that. But, we already spend over $1 million a year from our, foundation, Truliant Foundation, our community efforts here. 55% of that is provided to minority-led institutions, and community engagement areas that are going on here. So we felt like we were carrying our load in that, but it's pretty cool to be the largest financial institution in the Triad and kind of representing that area in the banking credit union industries.
I would say that as I said, I did mention Piedmont, but there's a lot of similarities between you two in that you are so customer driven, and I think that that's what makes you all successful. It's good to be a member in a sense of things,
thank you. I appreciate that.
So
it's good to be an employee as well. So.
Yeah, and let's talk about you now. Okay, so you kind of like sports. Did you play sports? Did you play in collegiate or anything like that?
Some I did. I played in high school. I was a good athlete in high school. Got hurt my senior year. The Tommy John, the ulnar tendon.
Right.
And so went to Furman on scholarship.
Right.
Spent a year there. Came back. Went to work. Went back to the university, but had to work, and so started bartending. And a couple of years into that, I called June Raines, who was a baseball coach at South Carolina, who I knew, and just said, "Hey, you mind if I come try out?" I hadn't picked up baseball in a couple of years, but something I'd like to do. Fortunately, made the team, and then got in the rotation, starting rotation with that. And about 4 starts in, that elbow gave out again, and so had a little taste of college athletics, which was very blessed to have an opportunity to do it. But love sports. My youngest son went to Wingate to play offensive line. He's a big one. My wife's family are all offensive linemen, Presbyterian College down in South Carolina and stuff. And so college football season's big time for me.
Right. I would assume so. Yeah. So you been to an app game yet?
Not this year, but
Okay.
I usually get to an app game.
Let me know if you need to go.
I'll
I
do
got
it.
some
Yeah,
tickets
hey,
there.
it's an exciting place. That's a hot ticket right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
so
we could have gone to game day last week.
I was there.
Were you?
Oh yeah. Took my 98-year-old dad. That's
Did
a lot of
you
fun.
really?
Oh,
My father's 97, lives
Yeah.
down in Camden. So
Yeah, no, it was a lot of
that
fun.
I know that was exciting.
Yeah, I took a fraternity brother and my dad, and then the game before I took the same fraternity brother and my 8-year-old daughter. My wife doesn't like to go to sports.
Oh, really?
So I mean, she'll do some, but she's like, I'm not. I'd rather chill out and read a book.
Shannon knows football as well as I do, so it makes for fun Saturdays.
So before we go to break, because we're going to take a break here in a second, I used to work at K&S newsstands here, and we had R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, and they would invite us to do different things. So a little fun fact that you're going to just laugh at is I was invited to participate in the professional amateur celebrity 9-ball tournament. And won. And they split it in half, won both sides.
Wow.
I don't play pool. But when Jeanette Lee or Larry tells you, hit the ball here this hard, you are really good. Yeah. So you love pool, from what I understand.
I do like pool.
Yeah. So how often do you get to play?
Not as much, we moved quite a bit career-wise, so there were times when we had a pool table and times when we didn't. And so right now is not one of those times. So I don't get to play as much as I used to. I used to really enjoy it, and it was kind of relaxing in a way. You get a couple buddies and you go down and shoot pool, and so not as often.
A lot
as
of deals are made in golf and pool, I think. But it is relaxing, especially if there's a game on or something like that. But that's something that, that's like a fun fact about you, that you do love pool.
Yep.
So you know what I'm thinking? we need a pool table at work.
Well, we have one over at Truliant Way.
Well, then why aren't you playing?
Well, time's a little tough.
But you ought to have like a tournament of.
True, very true. We had a ping pong tournament not long ago.
Beat Todd and win a day off of work or something. There you go.
That would be easy to do. We'd give some of that away.
Let's take a break, and then I want to start talking about your family just a little bit, and then go into all your career, and then let's take some time to talk about the wonderful things you guys are doing here. And of course, I did wear my 70th.
I liked it. I noticed
this was sent by one of your coworkers for me to wear.
Absolutely.
So we'll be right back with more of Camel City Chat here with Todd Hall. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson. I'm here with Todd Hall, who is the President and CEO of Truliant Federal Credit Union. Sometimes I think we ought to just keep the camera rolling because we've had some real good discussions in the. So you'd called. I was talking to Heath, who helps you get here. It's like I guess we got to warm the pool table up and stuff like that. So, you've had an interesting path to get here. I mean, you mentioned something during the break. So I've come to talk to you through 3 or 4 different ways. The first was obviously I met you,
right.
And then we had a little bit of thing called a COVID. Then actually, I think Stabler had COVID at one point. We were about to film, and then I think something came up with your travel schedule or something. So as I kid people around, I said Todd Hall is one of the hardest guests to get, and it's just because but it's because you're working all the time. Yeah, I mean, you're working all the time, and you're giving back to your community, and you're sharing time with your coworkers. I mean, it's not an insult. I'm sure your wife would probably tell me that he needs to be home.
She might be glad. Let's go work.
It is interesting. The longer you're married, the more they want you to go do other things. But so with all getting in touch with you, I've met so many wonderful people. So I was in Charlotte for the online closing stuff with like Mark Saunders was there, and Atticus was there, and of course I met what's her name? What's her name?
Toya.
Toya, that's it. So I met Toya, and she's like, "You need to meet Atticus." And Atticus is like, "Yeah, don't worry, it's done." And then I'm talking to Heath, and so but good people, and I want to come back to that. But then you said something that I want to go to, and that is, you worked with Atticus in D.C. So tell me.
Yeah, so Atticus
where all
Simpson,
have you been?
Well, so we related to that. So we didn't actually. Atticus and I knew each other. Atticus was in the community college arena.
Okay.
And so our wives are friends.
Okay.
And so I got to know Atticus, and I was just like, man, you got a skill. You do this really well. He ran the foundation at the community college he was at. Was working for at the time. Did a lot of government affairs work and community affairs work, and so. We created a role and then approached him and said, look, we want to raise our game on both those segments. Would you be willing to consider coming to Truliant? And so he did, and he's been here, I would say 5 or 6 years now. Really elevated what we do on that. So the name of the game with regards to our congressional leaders are their staffs. Staying connected with them, providing them information, then passing along to our constituencies what's important to the credit union or their communities and things of that nature, and then helping them get that message to our congressional leaders. And Atticus is phenomenal at that. He and his team. He has a team that helps him with that, and both on the community fair. You mentioned Toya. She's one of our biggest cheerleaders down in the Charlotte area, and is just constantly, if you see our social media stuff, constantly out there doing a great job. She one of many. We have a really good community affairs team, along with a Truliant at Work group that both are focused on financial literacy for the most part, and how we can improve lives, which is our mission, is improving financial lives of our members. So,
how do we get how do we retool home ec and get it back in the schools?
Yeah.
Because when did you learn how to balance your checkbook? When did and don't ask me because I still haven't. But no, when did you
we'll
learn?
Take care of that.
When did you learn budgeting? When did you learn?
Growing up, my father was a manager at the telephone company in South Carolina, Southern Bell, and an ex-Marine and things. So
you had no problem.
It was a disciplined family household. We'll just say it that way. So. But I was a credit union member as a child because Carolina's Telco was a credit union for Southern Bell back then, and so you'd save your coins and you'd take it to the credit union and they count it and they press it into your savings account booklet, passport and things. And so banking's kind of been, I'm a little OCD, so that all kind of fell in for me. But Yeah, I kind of learned that really early on, but I'm with you on the fact that I don't think it's as integrated in today's society for, our youth as they're coming up. I'm sure Stabler's really good with his checking account over there, but, I do think it needs to be ingrained more. We're working with the community college here about getting into their curriculum to do financial literacy for folks as they're coming through the trade tracks and things like that. And you got folks that have, kind of been in life a little bit, and now they're looking to better themselves and their families by further education or learning a certain skill, how to manage that money, how to borrow appropriately, how to buy that first home or that car, and be responsible for that is really critical in today's society. And we think that that's something that we need to remain heavily focused on.
Mm-hmm. So we're in the training center, and right now, I know we got a class in here for about another hour. So they're training. What are we training? So if I want to come to be a Truliant teammate, because I want to start there of what you kind of look for, because hiring's hard right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked, adulting's hard, now hiring's hard. So what do you look for in the teammate, and then how do we get them to be the front line with the customers, and then what makes Truliant different? So that would be, I would think that...
The secret sauce.
I know, that's the basketball on the tee right there.
So
I'm going to sit back and drink my water, so you tell me the story.
Yeah, for us with regards to what we're out to do, my mother, fine Southern woman, but growing up, after you would meet somebody, my mom would either say, they're good people, or they come from good people, or whatever. And so that's always stuck with me.
And if they weren't, it was bless their heart.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. And so, what we're out to do is just find folk, good people, good souls.
Right.
So if we have 900 employees, which we do, we want 900 good souls that are just, quality people that are empathetic to others, that want to be helpful, that work hard, that are open and communicative about, what's going on. If we can do that, if we can have 900 of those folks, we know that's a competitive advantage that we do so. So as we're looking for folks, we first look for that. What's the essence of the person looking to join the credit union? Are they good folks? Do we think they're good people, willing to work hard, learn, be communicative, be empathetic to their, both the members and their fellow employees. And so we think that we do that well. And then when they come to this, it's okay, what role are you in? And then, what might we need to help them from a technical perspective? And then the soft skill piece of that. And then understanding what do they want to be when they grow up? So, what's the progression layer of that we can continue to help them, be what they want to be, learn, expand themselves, things of that nature. So.
And so, you have 900 people. I mean, how do you? We all have something that's, what one bad person spoils it, but it's just the interactions I've had have been excellent. I mean, like I talk about Rachel. So Rachel's the one at my bank, but I know Rachel from times back, and of course, as I said, I came here because of her and Kim, and it's weird because I have my banker's cell phone number. That may be different for other people, but if there's an emergency, it's happened. I was in Florida for a training, and I had to call and say, hey, look, don't mean to be rude or anything, but
my card didn't work.
A check got stolen from my boss, and when she paid me, that check I wrote to you guys, the bank didn't check with her. They bounced this check. And oh, by the way, my check to the IRS is going to bounce. How do we handle this? And they were like, and this is pre them working here. So, but they were like, well, just do this. So we're like running, and my wife goes over, and everything's fine. Yeah. And it's because of that's the kind of people that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I harp on that.
Yeah,
because
no,
I want you. I know that you know that.
I appreciate you saying it, and especially in this setting, but. It's a little bit about what the credit union is like. So, you mentioned I was a banker for 25 years before I found the credit union space. And, our society benefits from both, a for-profit and a not-for-profit. But, the intent of the credit union is, if you look at our mission statement, it's to improve our members' financial lives. And so that the purity of that is, I think, how we find people that are attracted to be a part of something like that, where they're giving back to their fellow man or their communities, in a helpful manner. The banks have a little bit different purpose. Theirs is to enhance the shareholder value of those folks that are able or willing to invest in their company. We need both to be a well-oiled country. But I think that mission statement allows us to find people that are attracted to that, similar to Rachel and Kim and the others. And as we just continue to build on that, people are drawn, the kind of folks we want are drawn to be a part of something like that, giving back to the community, being able to be focused on improving people's lives, which is very rewarding in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. So that's what makes you all different.
I believe that our ability to find those people, retain those people, I think that makes us different. I think that our ability to execute. I think that our board is volunteers. So, in the credit union space, our directors are all volunteers. And so we've got a 9-person voting board that has been really great to work with the 10 years I've been here. They help us in our strategic directional piece of that, and then allow us to be the ones to execute on it. And so we've surrounded ourselves with some really good leaders that we set, specific directions we want to take, things we think we needed to do to enhance Truliant as an institution that be here for the long term, but also allow us to provide to our members in the right way. And so I think the quality of people we get, and then our ability to execute on our strategic plans, is what makes us different.
All right, so let's ask this question, and then the next segment I want to go into talking more about your community engagement. So in this particular case, explain to me the importance of remote online notarization.
Yeah.
All right. So
wave of the future.
Yeah. So we were talking about this. Politics stinks. We everybody agrees politics stinks. But in realtors we have the purple party. So there's Republicans and Democrats, and we try to walk the middle, and we want to work with people that support housing initiatives and private property rights and stuff like that. The couple times I've seen you've either talked to a representative or I saw you with a representative. It seems as though one of your secret sauces is you understand that you have to talk to the people that make the rules and that look out for your. It's weird. You're not only working for Truliant, but you're actually working for me as a member.
Absolutely.
And so the importance of these things, and one of the latest that we worked really hard on, and Atticus was there. I mean, holy cow, Beth was like going everywhere. We've got the Secretary of State there. We've got the President of the Realtors there. Beth is there. Everyone's talking, but remote online notarization is huge. And why is it important with you all?
Well, so as you mentioned. Convenience, the world's changing, right? The Amazons and PayPal, all of that's coming about, and so people want convenience, and I think that in the security around that scenario is so much better than the traditional ways. But our ability to do something where the member's sitting in their den, the realtor's sitting at their office, the attorney's sitting at their office, and it's all done electronically, and the convenience of that, the security of that is just critical in our opinion, and we think that's the way everything's going. So not only were we the first institution in North Carolina with Beth Eller, our head of mortgages, leadership around that to close an electronic mortgage closing, start to finish. We were also the first institution in the country to securitize an electronic mortgage to the Federal Home Loan Bank in Atlanta earlier this year. So we just think that all of that contributes to benefit our members with regards to cost, convenience, security, all those things that is representative of what we're trying to do.
Is there any way that you could have had Mark not in the video and just had it be his wife? The Saunders, of course, Mark was involved in that.
There's no way.
But his wife's so much nicer than him. But no, literally, I mean, this is huge. And, we watched part of it and things like that. But, it was good enough for the military because, it should be. Yeah. And so then when COVID hit, it's like, why can't we bring it out to everybody? We've got to honor our troops and stuff like that. I had a client in London that had to drive to a notary to make an appointment and then notarize everything $900.
Easy.
And then overnight it back.
Yeah.
When at that point it was like, John, it might be just cheaper for the two of us to get on a plane and come back. And then and don't worry, this wasn't your bank. I can't pick the banks. Then something wasn't ready, so they had to cancel the appointment and make the next appointment. I'll tell you where the guy worked, and when you hear where he worked, you'll be like, he had to do what? But so literally, this is huge for us, and you all, and realtors and stuff, are making this happen, and it's becoming a huge, I can be here in a training session, can come out and not, say, hey, can I take a 30-minute break? Come out, sit here. My wife can be at home and knock it out,
Yeah.
and then that way we're working to more time with our friends, families, and et cetera.
Life-work balance, right?
Yeah.
Just totally.
So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you. We really, and it was a team effort, obviously, but it continues. The whole notary scenario between across states and federally is the challenge right now. We were just over in Raleigh with Secretary of State Marshall and Ozzie Stallworth, her number two, trying to resolve some of that. How do we support? Because we were getting ready to go to D.C.
Right.
How do we then go up and try to influence some of our congressional leaders about how important it is to get some standardized e-notary, regulation,
Right.
so that all this can work. But each state has their own. It's typical, somewhat, for the political world that we're in at the moment. But it's a worthy battle. So it is something that we believe in, and of course I'll give credit to Beth Eller. She had a good bit of that motivation and to do this in a previous life, and so when she got here, we were highly supportive of it, and she's been leading that charge.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back, and I want to talk about this and that, and I understand you're a really small thinker. You don't.
Yeah, the P is pretty small.
So let's talk about this big vision that I hear about and all the different things, and how are we going to celebrate, and is there going to be a cake and all that. We'll be right back with more Camel City Chat and Todd Hall. Hey everybody, welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson. I'm here with Todd Hall, the president, CEO of, you ready for this? Radio Shops Federal Credit Union.
That would be us.
1952,
That's
Radio
right.
Shops
That's
Federal Credit Union, now Truliant.
Yeah.
Do you think that the people that started that would ever imagine that you would own a building in Haynes Mall and have solar on top of it?
Surely not, right?
I mean, we're talking Back to the Future crazy stuff here.
Yeah.
So, we're here. We talked about what's going to happen over there besides the video thing. I think you and I talked about video and stuff off the air, but what's going to happen over there?
We had the opportunity. We had gone through permitting, with the city around expanding our headquarters.
Right.
To your point, we were just getting filled up, and so we were looking to build our own building. And right after we had gone through that permitting and worked with the city, Macy's put their building up for sale. And so when we looked at it, we were extremely excited about the condition of it and the location being right across the street from where we are now. And we really thought it would be an opportunity for us to more economically expand, because it was cheaper to buy that building and do reuse to it versus building something new, but also contributed to the community, because the mall was struggling somewhat in some of those ways, and so us being able to reuse that space, we thought was a good way to contribute to the community.
Credit union, hospital, or medical on one end. Who would have thought those would be
Yeah, no,
anchors?
that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They get the Sears, we get the Macy's.
Yeah, but so in that building, obviously, and in this building and others, I mean, you guys are, I can't say the B word because we were kidding around about that, but no, so we're credit unioning.
Yeah.
But people don't understand there are a lot of services that you offer besides loans and money and stuff like that. So what are some of those things?
Part of that plan, we mentioned the board earlier in the conversation. Our strategic plan 5 or 6 years ago was first to expand geographically. So we had been in Charlotte, with a few branches. We put 10 more branches into Charlotte over about a 30-month period back in 14 and 15. But we needed to diversify our revenue stream. So to be viable long term, Traditionally, credit unions of old highly dependent on consumer loan interest income, basically for the most part. So we purposely went out and started to expand into areas. So we do commercial lending now. We're really a Main Street kind of commercial lender in residential real estate. I mean, in commercial real estate. We expanded in mortgage. We talked about Beth El. We brought Beth in and expanded on the mortgage side. SBA lending. We did some $40 million worth of PPP loans back during the pandemic, and the average loan amount was $32,000.
Thank you, by the way.
Yes, thank you. But so we were really serving those Main Street, small business, blue collar kind of shops. So we diversified.
And I will say this: you did an excellent job handling them.
Thank you.
I am a recipient of that. I passed that on to my coworkers, and was able to, during that time period when it was very hard to sell homes, they were paid in full.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
it's because of that loan, and it's because of your staff calling me up, and you need to do this, you need to do that. John, you need to fill this form out. I mean, thank you, really, honestly.
No, we appreciate it. I'm glad that it served the right purpose. So, and thanks for using us in that. But so we've diversified a number of those revenue streams. And then expanded what we're doing. We talked about financial literacy and the things that we do in that, our community involvement that's going on. So all of that was important, that we diversified the credit union so that, in tough economic times, like what we're starting to experience at the moment, that one, we're able as a financial institution to be stabilized, but two, that we can be there to support our members when they need us. And of course, being a low-income designated credit union means that more than 50% of our members make less than 80% of the median income of the community they live in. Okay. And so we serve the blue-collar, communities of the state and the communities we're in. And so,
well, I mean, from the start, because Western Electric, I mean, it's.
Yep.
Yeah. So how are we celebrating 70?
Well, so
you look good for 70.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
But besides this cool thing that I stole off of one of your tellers, how do you celebrate 70?
So one of our thing was the tower we talked about,
right,
that we'll be renaming the Winston Tower later. We'd hope to do it this year as part of that celebration. But just really the biggest celebration is to make people aware. And we've been here for 70 years. This is our purpose in life. We're a cooperative, so one member, one vote related to the credit union piece. This is what we're doing in our community. We just want to continue to do that in a bigger way. And so really our celebration of that is we believe we have an extremely strong culture. I think it's reflective in the experiences you might have when you do business with us, and the quality of people that you see around us that we were able to hire. And so just furthering that, part of being 70 years old is our focus on diversity. Last year we began our own diversity council. We began to have a company-wide efforts with regards to education and awareness related to that. At the senior level time, we have one-on-one consultant counseling stuff on how to do that, but be more intentional about how we're going to help and improve the world with that related to diversity.
So, what are other things? You mentioned Mark, you mentioned Jason, both previous guests on this show. You've been here about 10 years or so, you said?
10 years, yep.
You've seen some changes, not the drastic changes that some other people have.
Right.
What do you want to see happen in Winston-Salem and around this area? What's Todd's dream? Doesn't have to be too nice, but what's your dream of seeing things?
I think just continuing to attract quality people. People that come to our community and expand it. You mentioned earlier about the Innovation Quarter and how downtown's changed and the people we attract. It's a great place to live. I've lived in a number, I've lived in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida through my career, big cities, little cities, that kind of stuff. And Winston is really, really a great community. And so just the ability to have quality work, quality education. You got, with all that's going on in the core right now with electric vehicles and batteries and all that kind of stuff, we're going to have an influx of people coming. Us having, continuing to have and expand on quality education, the quality of life, the life-work balance that we have here, and then just bringing, more good people to the Triad so that it just continues to be a really great place to live.
I sometimes feel like we incubate a lot of businesses, in the sense of things. I don't want them to move away. As we've,
No, it did.
It's like, hey, you got started here, bye. But are there things that we can do, you think, to make these companies not leave?
So, I mentioned I'm on the GWSI board, and I sit on the, the economic retention committee, so I chair that committee.
You've met the mayor then?
Yeah. Alan's a good man.
Yeah,
Good man.
great guy. He's
Good
been on the
man.
show too.
And so, our focus on that is just making sure that people are aware of the companies, like Truliant or Deere Hitachi, and other
Caterpillar,
Haynes,
and,
all that are here that are, critical to providing high quality, good paying, well benefited jobs to our community that allow people to have a quality of life, to send their children to school, to buy homes, all those things, bringing a little more attention to that. A lot of what you see in the papers about, economic development. Oh, we've attracted a new company to come, which is great. But like ourselves, we added 95 new positions at Truliant last year. We'll match that again this year. And so, us like others continue to grow here, provide real quality jobs and benefits and things of that nature. And I think making sure that those companies get recognition and people understand that while it's really sexy to attract the new ones, and that's what we need, that there are also really vibrant companies here that have contributed both from a quality of life and job, but philanthropically as well to the vibrancy of our community.
I think that happens a lot in like university giving. It's like, here, John, give me some money, and then it's like that. And the other is the old, cable company. It's like, they'll give you $19.99. I'm paying $49. Why can't I get that?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
that's not for you. That's for new customers.
That's right.
You got to treat people good. All right. So before we go, I hate to ask this question because people automatically think it's your demise. But what do you want to be remembered for? Either through this position or your banking career. I know, great husband and great father. But
check.
Right? Yeah. I got a phone call while we were on the air. They all said that was true.
There you go.
But no, what? Pool shark? What is it?
No, I'll be honest with you. I would, if anything, it would be, obviously, a good family man and cared for those that are around him. But I'd just like to be acknowledged as one of the many that contributed to the success of this community and the Truliant organization. I'm just one part of many. When I came as the heir to a gentleman named Mark Schaefer, who was the previous CEO here. He set the foundation for a lot of what we're doing today, and so just one of the clogs. Just that hey, I did my part. For
you definitely left it better than you found it.
I hope so. Yeah.
You got,
and we're not done yet. I hadn't left it yet.
Yeah, no, but you got great. You got great people, and I know that's.
Thank you for that.
It is one of those things of, it truly shows who you are and who your team is based on who you interact with in every position. So I thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
I'm just honored that you'll do the show and that you did this today.
Pleasure.
It was a lot of fun.
We got to re-up, right? We got to go to the Ops Center, shoot again.
We'll have to shoot again.
On.
I definitely, Stabler, before we leave, I want you to get a couple pictures around here so that we can, put them in.
We can do it up there in the solar panels, right? And get a little cooking going on.
Yeah, we can do that, definitely. There's a grill over there.
Yes.
Look, we've got a gas grill over here. But it says a lot.
Thank
you. I do say this often because it's one of my favorite quotes, but no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. So I'm scared of how much you know, because I've heard you're just a big thinker. And what do you, do you just kind of throw it against the wall and say, hey, we could do this? Or, before we go,
So fortunately for us, I'm surrounded by a lot of great people. And so, in our leadership piece, they're accustomed to me challenging, because it's kind of like, who says we can't? Now maybe we can't, but let's go validate that. Let's just not assume we can. And so we've done a lot of things that I think surprise people just for the fact that it's, could we, should we, is it the right thing to do? How would it benefit us and our members? And then if those are yeses, then okay, what might be the plan to do it? And then, you always run into hurdles. Well, you just don't accept no. Let's ask again, or, just ask to begin with. Who would have thought the tower that, David Stevens would have been willing to let us put Truliant on the Winston Tower? Well, 3 years ago, we called David and said, hey, man, you ever thought about this? Nope, never thought about that. Well, think about it. you know, and then we drip, you know, hey, you still thinking about it? What do you think? And so, you know, to his credit, you know, he was willing to say that it would be a good thing for the city as well. And so, you know, it's just one of those things that I think that's exemplary of our kind of mentality of, you know, if we think it's the right thing that would benefit those that we're responsible for, we should investigate it. And a lot of times when you investigate, you can find your way through.
You don't think big. I mean, you own part of the mall now, so it's been a wonderful show. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's do it again. Thank you.
My guest is Todd Hall. He is President CEO of Truliant Federal Credit Union. We want to thank Jeff Smith and Smitty's Notes, and make sure you try and run down Smitty's Boulevard there. And we will be back next week with more Camel City Chat. Check him out online. The website is Truliant. Is it FCU.org? I've been there before. See? So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week.